Alright. Am I up? I am. Good morning, chat. How are we doing today? Gotta fix this a little bit. That's too much. There we go. Sorry. Gotta adjust my tripod this morning. Strawberry pretzel salad. Ooh, man, that sounds so good. Man, I've had a real sweet tooth lately. It's been real bad. I'm sure I've gained a little bit of my weight back. But I've been exercising a lot, so I don't know. Also, I want to apologize for my cold sore. Those happen when I get stressed. So, remember to like the stream, of course. Yes, I am going to be streaming. So, here's the new deal. The new deal. We're going to be talking more about this during the stream. But I am going to be streaming pretty regularly at this point. At least 3 days a week. 2 to 3 days a week, I should say. Because here's the thing. Streaming is probably going to be where the majority of my income comes from at this point. It is the only thing that I make that YouTube allows me to monetize. Sometimes it will let me monetize like the video essays. Sometimes it'll let me monetize like the film reviews. I am going to be doing those more regularly as well, the film reviews. I'm going to be putting out one about the Color from Space. Is that what it's called? The Color Out of Space. With Nicolas Cage. That one is going to be happening soon. And another one about Lust in the Dust with Divine. So I will have a couple movie reviews for you guys too. And those should be monetized. I see no reason they wouldn't be. I'm not going to be probably using clips in those because that's pretty much a guarantee to get you a copyright strike. But I am going to be... The live streams are going to be the major source of income at this point. TikTok is unviable for me. I might still do some stuff there. I'm going to leave the account up. I will probably do just enough so that they have to cut me a check every month. At least a small one for the, the pain and suffering they put me through. But I'm probably not going to do a great deal on there unless what I'm doing is just better in short form content. Like, I might still make the, family skits, and those usually run under 3 minutes, which would mean it would be short form content, and that will likely go on TikTok. I'm also keeping it up for promotion. So a lot of what I'm going to be doing there is promoting my other work, which barely works on TikTok. They hate that shit. They have hated all of the clips that I have put out of all of my projects. I will probably eventually post some of those projects, if they're short enough, to TikTok. But that is going to be long after they are already posted on YouTube. So it will be several days to a week later that things will go on TikTok after I post them to YouTube. That way people are incentivized to just come to the... Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Just come to the YouTube. Yeah, the Nosy Neighbor skits. I haven't had much inspiration for those lately. I am sure that I will have some soon. The thing is, I have had very little inspiration for anything lately. For about 6 months to a year, I would say. I've been obviously doing some creative projects over that time. You guys have seen some of them. But for 6 months to a year now, I have not been putting out the quality of work that I want to be putting out. And it's because every time I do that, it doesn't get any views. I've put out an entire series on Appalachian folklore, nothing. And I loved making that. I put out an entire series on, I'm trying to think. God, my mind just went blank. I've been putting out movie reviews. Those never go anywhere. And I put out, like, short films that I've made. TikTok hates all of that stuff. What it wants is political commentary, and I just am not in a place where I can do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I still will probably do that to some extent in the live streams. I might make the occasional video on that, but I do not feel like having yet another voice in all of this is helpful to anyone. I feel like right now, social media's job is to flood the zone. That seems to be the strategy of this administration, is to flood the zone, to overwhelm us so much that we simply lay down. And I feel like what I was creating, what I was doing, was simply adding to that. And it was bad for my mental health. It was bad for my family, the mental health of my followers. And so I can't do that anymore. I can't be party to it. It feels really bad, man. And so I am stepping out of that realm entirely. I am stepping away from TikTok, and I've been away from TikTok for the most part, for about a week now. I'm so sorry that my allergies are acting up because all of the flowers and stuff are in bloom right now. And the pollen's just absolutely killing me. But, yeah, so I want to start making stuff that you guys actually enjoy, and that's actually worthwhile. All the things you're saying never went anywhere. I absolutely loved. Yeah, that's the thing, is that whenever I do this stuff, the reception is incredibly positive. The people who get to see it love it. And that's the problem, is that the algorithm is not actually showing you guys the stuff you want. The things that, like, my fan base actually wants from me is not being seen. It's whatever hypes up emotions. For people who may not even be part of, like, my following, right? It's whatever gets people to feel the biggest emotions. And something like an educational series is not going to generate the same emotions that something that's kind of like rage baity might, or something that really, really makes people laugh. And so the things that usually do pretty well are the nosy neighbor skits and the children skits. Those take about, making one of those takes about an entire day. So when I make those, it's going to probably be the only video I can put out that day, which is even though they tend to do pretty well, it doesn't even out to me putting out like 7 slop videos, right? Especially because there's a good chance that the slop videos are going to do twice as well as even those skits. So I'm not incentivized by these algorithms to make good things. And it's really frustrating. It's really, really, really frustrating. Because what they want is things that are either like very advertiser friendly, which my work is not. None of it is. Or they want things that are going to make people feel these like big emotions, whether they're positive or negative. Um, and I can't do that anymore. I can't do it anymore. It's gross. It's gross. It's disgusting. It makes me feel disgusting. Um, and so I am moving entirely to YouTube. I'm going to make whatever the fuck I want. I don't give a shit if it's in my niche or not. I think niches fucking destroy art. The destroy creativity. Once an algorithm's backed you into a niche, because the reason they do that, right, is because once you have a niche, they know what products to advertise near your videos, right? They want to back you into a niche. You are incentivized to do that. And so I refuse to be in a niche. I refuse. I'm not doing it anymore. So, yeah. So I really hope that things can get to a point where, like, you know, you are wanting, like, the stuff that you guys want to see is what is actually getting to you. I got away from TikTok too. It's definitely been better for me, but I do miss it. You're not missing anything. You're not missing anything. It's a cesspool. Everybody there is so pissed off all the time. So pissed off all the time. It is endless fury interspersed with cat videos. Like that's all it is. It is nasty work over there right now, and I don't want to be a part of it. And since I have not been a part of it, I have felt much better. Much better. I hope you continue those things on YouTube because I'd love to keep saying them. I probably will. And they'll probably be better than what I would have put out on TikTok because I'll be able to deep dive it a little bit more. One of the biggest issues with TikTok was that there wasn't a page where I could click through the new videos of the creators that I followed. Yes, there was the following tab, but it didn't work for me. Yeah, because what the following tab will do is it will show you the creators that you follow, but it's going to be their most popular videos first, not their most not their like newest, right? So when you go to the following tab, you're going to immediately see whatever is getting the most attention. And usually what's going to get the most attention is either rage bait or, like anything that's going to make people feel a massive emotion that gets them to comment something. Because here's the thing. People who are just generally satisfied with what you do, they don't tend to tell you. They just put a like on it and they go, oh, that was nice, but they don't tend to go into the comments and be like, oh, I really loved this. At least not as often. People definitely still do that. I'm not saying like no one ever does that, but it is not as incentivized as when you are angry about something, and you want to make that known. So people get angry and then they go into the comments and then that boosts the video. So what you're going to get pretty much immediately out of a following page is the worst slop a creator has put out, the most controversial video. I haven't been on TikTok in months and it's been so good for my brain. YouTube is better for diversifying content. Yes, it is. It just is. I have been so much happier since I gave it up. I was at a point, those of you who are on my Patreon, I talked about this there, but I didn't talk about it on TikTok, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it here. I relapsed. I started drinking again. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad relapse. But there was a night that I got pretty drunk. And I've had pretty bad cravings lately. And I was getting to a point where I was like, okay, this is going to become like a problem for me again. I'm just going to be drinking all the time. And I am not going back to that. And crazy story, actually. I had met someone at like an event that happened this weekend, and I thought I was making a new friend. And I was like, I like went to shake their hand. I was like, hello, I'm Oliver. And this person was like, yes, I know you. We dated for 6 months. And I was like, what? Not 6 months. I think it was like 3 months. Several months. And I dated this person for several months, and I did not have a memory of them. So if you all would like to know how bad of an alcoholic I used to be, that's how bad of an alcoholic I used to be. So, yeah, I am not doing that again because that was a terrible experience. Luckily, this person was like, oh, you know, there's no hard feelings there. We were both really different people, and like they forgave me, and we're like actually friends now. Um, but it was so embarrassing. It was so fucking embarrassing. And I was like, this is actually what I deserve. You know, like this is what I deserve for being that out of it for that long. And it honestly, it kind of scared me enough that I'm like, okay, I don't actually want to go back to this because I don't want to be like that again. Let's be honest, we queers are only advertiser friendly in June, and that's only a certain kind of queer. Yep. Okay, so when it comes to content, here's honestly what I suggest at this point. Really and truly, guys. In your settings, I know I have an iPhone. I don't know if it's the same for Android. But you can go into your settings and set... I'm so sorry, guys. And set screen time. Like, it will lock you out of your apps at a certain time. And I highly suggest, really and truly, all of your social media, set it to a half hour or less. Set it to a half hour or less. Honest to God, guys. I've done that. I have all of my social media set to 15 minutes or less at this point. I upload videos to TikTok and YouTube directly through Studio. I don't use the actual TikTok app anymore. I have it up. I have it downloaded so that I can keep posting to it. And occasionally I'll go in there and check my messages from other creators now. But for the most part, I don't even open it. I literally just... I do everything through TikTok Studio. Because that's like the app that shows you all your analytics. You can upload through it, and you can schedule your uploads through it. And I don't check comments anymore for the most part, unless it's on a project I really like, because I want feedback on that. And usually it's like 4 comments anyway, because it doesn't get any traction. But I'm serious, guys. Set your social media for a half hour or less every day. It will fucking change your life. You don't need to be scrolling for that long. Like, people are like, oh God, I need to stay informed. And I get that. I understand that anxiety. I have it too. But really and truly, you don't need to be informed more than 30 minutes a day. You don't. You really don't. You will find things out through the grapevine. You will find things out on the radio if you're driving around. You'll find things out on YouTube or via podcasts. You do not need 30 minutes a day, more than 30 minutes a day of social media time. It will destroy you. YouTube allows me to see what the creators uploaded and check my headspace for the content rather than constant assessment penalizing creators if I can't handle the vid in the moment. Yeah, that is very... I'm really glad you caught on to that about yourself. Because TikTok is particularly brutal because it just sort of throws things at you, right? Like YouTube, you have to check the thumbnail and go, okay, is this something I want to watch right now? Is this something I'm interested in? Is this something I can kind of like feel out, right? And that's kind of the beauty of long form content, is that you can make a choice to watch something. With TikTok, it throws it at you instantly. You don't have time to assess whether or not you're in the headspace to view that content right then. You're just going to see it. You're just going to see it no matter what. And I think that leads to people who have certain traumas getting triggered. And I mean that in like the real sense of the word, not in the like Republican, like, oh, are you triggered sense, like genuine, like mental health triggers. And then they, instead of going, okay, I need to take a step back because I'm having like a mental health issue, they just take it out on the creator. And that makes it a particularly brutal place to be, even if the creator hasn't actually done anything wrong. And I think that's why we get into these like massive fights on that app in particular, because number one, it is incredibly interactive. It's not like YouTube where like, yeah, a creator might check the comment section, or they may have a mod, or they may just refuse to check it, you know. TikTok's not like that. It's pretty much set up to where you have to check the comments and interact with the comments. And so what happens is that you have these like traumatized people who are randomly stumbling across your content that might be harmless to 99.999% of the population. But if they are not in the headspace to handle it, then you become the punching bag for whatever that person is feeling. And that weighs on you after a while. Don't feel bad. My dad introduced himself to his ex-wife at the birth of their first shared grandchild. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's awful. I'm so sorry. Also, they change what comments you see depending on your account. I looked at one video with 2 different accounts and saw 2 different comments at the top. Yep. They do that too. Yeah. It's real crazy. It's real crazy the way that algorithm works. And I don't think it's good for anyone anymore. Like, honest to God, as someone who worked on there, I have to say, sorry, I have to like adjust. But as someone who's worked on there, I can say that that app has gotten so bad, I can't even recommend really using it anymore. In the same way I like can't recommend using Twitter anymore. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's good for people. I really don't. And that's another reason, like, I don't think I could be party to that anymore. And I'm mostly just using it to like promote my other stuff. Occasionally put out like a cute, happy video that's like short form. But like other than that, no, I'm stepping the fuck away. It is a cesspool there. There's something about getting stuck watching such bad content. Scrolling away feels disrespectful, but I don't need to conjure that for a stranger right now, you know? Yeah, I think that TikTok is incredibly proficient. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. My underwear was doing a weird thing, and I couldn't concentrate. Like, this is what you're gonna get from live stream, by the way. Like, you're gonna get me, like, because you're used to me being, like, edited, right? On live stream, I'm not edited, so you're gonna have to deal with me being like, okay, like, guys, my underwear is, like, not working for me right now. Or, like, I gotta go take a piss or something like that. Like, that's gonna happen when you watch the live streams. I'm so sorry. I apologize for, like, my natural bodily functions. I know it's not very advertiser friendly of me. But back to what you were saying, Katie. There's something about getting stuck watching such sad content. Yes. I think that we as Americans are subtly aware at all times that we do enjoy a certain level of privilege. And I think that kind of goes for all Americans. I think especially those of us who are not racial minorities or not gender or sexual minorities. I think that we feel guilty when we don't stop and listen. Because we want to. We want to be good people. We feel like it is important to do that. The thing is, we can sit and stop and listen and bear witness to all of this stuff, but it doesn't really matter if we are too tired to do anything about it. It doesn't really matter if we are too hopeless to make the world a better place. And so, when it comes to this kind of stuff, you know, I think there's also like an anxiety about like, okay, what if I miss that they passed a bill that's gonna like irrevocably change my life? You know what I mean? Because all of this stuff is coming at us so fast, and they're constantly passing all of this crazy, insane shit. And so I think there's an anxiety that we're gonna miss something, we're gonna miss some sign, that, you know, is like the sign to run, the sign to get out, the sign to do this, that, or the other. And we're not actually missing those signs. You'll hear about it. I promise you will. I promise you will. And so, like, I think that it is important to stay informed about what's going on. But I think that after a while, scrolling through that kind of content becomes like almost like pain voyeurism. Like, I've had very complicated feelings about some of the videos I've seen of Gaza, because on one hand, if people didn't see those videos, they probably wouldn't realize how fucked up it all is, right? On the other hand, if I was a parent and my child had just been blown to bits and I was holding them and screaming and having a very like human emotion, I don't think I'd want a camera on me, and I don't think I'd want people seeing that. And I don't know how those people feel about that. You know what I mean? I really don't know. And so it's a really complicated issue for me, where like I feel like I am now aware. I am now aware of what is happening there. And I don't need to see it anymore. I don't need to witness these people's pain anymore. I can just pray for them and try to my best to change things. Because I feel like I'm intruding in a really private moment a lot of the time, when it comes to that. And I don't know if it's right. I don't know how those people feel, if they find it more important that people see it so they know, or if they too feel like the world has intruded in a private moment for them. So I feel really conflicted about that. And I feel like now that I know what is happening, that I have been made aware, that I have looked into it. Because in the beginning of all of this, I'll be so for real, I had no idea what the hell was happening. Not a fucking clue. And I probably said some pretty dumb shit. Because this is one of the most heavily propagandized issues in the United States, in the West in general. And I had to take a little bit of time to kind of unpack all of that. And now that I feel like I am aware, I feel like now I can just get involved in the ways I can, that I don't have to, like, look at that. My wife says, yeah, not gonna lie, I have not been in a good place for over a week now because I'm just completely broken over things that I cannot do anything about. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that there is a certain level of powerlessness. And I think that's part of it too, is that it gives us a sense of control. It makes us feel like we are somewhat in control of what is going on politically. And I need y'all to know this, know something. You are simultaneously in very little control of your life, and you have far more control than you think you do. And that is a very weird thing to realize. Like, what can we do about Donald Trump? I have no idea. I have no answer. I have no answer for what we do about Donald Trump. I have no answer for what we do about what is happening in Gaza right now. I think it's arrogant, frankly, to pretend you do, to pretend you have all of the answers to how this all needs fixed. Because I don't think anyone does, or we would have done something about it already. It would already be fixed. And so I think that there is a certain level of powerlessness people are feeling about these situations that we really can't do much about. However, that doesn't mean you can't do anything. And I think people kind of fall back on the opposite then, right? They go, oh, well, I don't know how to make this situation better, so I can't do anything at all. I might as well just simply lay down and doom scroll through my phone and feel hopeless. But you do actually have control over certain things. Local government, you can definitely have a say in local government. You can sway those people. I know because we've done it. Community building, you have control over that. You can feed the homeless. You can volunteer. You can get involved in your community. You can make friends. And honestly, if you make friends and start getting groups of people together, organizing becomes easier. It falls into place. Far easier than you would think. If you just start like hanging out, making connections, networking, organizing tends to fall into place a lot easier. And because you already have this group of people you can call on if things go south, you know? And I think that that's really important, you know? It's why we have one or two iconic photographs of big traumatic events that memorialize them for us. We don't have all the photos of that event. Yeah. Think about Tiananmen Square, right? That man standing in front of the tanks. that says enough. It says enough. The Vietnam War protests, the Daisy and the gun, the I'm trying to think of some other ones that are like really iconic pictures like that. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. in those photographs where he's doing the I Have a Dream speech. You know, these are things, or like the video clip of that. We have these moments that memorialize them for us. But I don't know what that would be for Gaza at this point, because I've seen so much. It just seems like a blur of dead children at this point in my head. And the one I think probably stands out the most is that father with the baby. That one I think stuck with people pretty hard. The other day, Hassan, love him or hate him, said that there's no real democracy in American foreign policy, and I'd never really thought about it in that way before, but it's very true. Yeah. I hear a lot that we shouldn't turn away from suffering, but I don't think watching horrifying videos over and over again is actually contributing to dismantling that suffering. No, it's not. In my opinion, it's not. And like I said, it feels voyeuristic after a while. It feels like you're intruding on people in these moments that you maybe shouldn't even be seeing them in. Moments that maybe should be private. Moments of grief and pain and sadness. That people would probably feel better if no one ever saw. And I think that people have a tendency to be like, you need to look at this, when there's no point in looking anymore because you already know what's going on. And I think that it's really bad for us. I think there's kind of a mentality that if you're not... I think that, you know, there used to be kind of traditions in place where you could have that kind of like solidarity in suffering for the poor, or the oppressed, that wasn't this. Like, for example, fasting periods. There were periods, there's still periods in certain religions where people go through a fast, where they give things up. Whether that's food, water, or, you know, even just like television or music. Things that people who are oppressed or who are imprisoned or who are facing violence, things they don't get to enjoy to their fullest. And by giving that up, you are experiencing that solidarity, and going through a short period of suffering that kind of alleviates that guilt and helps you have a better perspective on how to move forward with that solidarity. Where watching endless suffering in videos, all that does, in my opinion, is desensitize you. You're just watching suffering you can do nothing about, instead of experiencing like legitimate solidarity by experiencing hunger, by experiencing not having a thing that you relied on, a thing that's fun or that you've gotten used to. It is not a controlled deprivation. And so you are just suffering for the sake of suffering instead of for the sake of solidarity when you're just watching through those videos. And I don't think that's the best route to go. I think watching the horrifying videos repeatedly for a long time actually causes you to lose your compassion. Yeah, no, I think so too. I think you get desensitized. I think that you you start to feel hopeless. It starts to feel like something that's too big for you to manage. And you see all of this suffering, and you can't contain it. Nobody can. Nobody can contain all that suffering in their head. So you just go numb. You just go numb. You can't feel anything at all. And that is just your brain literally trying to protect you from all of the horrifying shit you're seeing. Like, it is your body, your mind trying its best to protect you. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It is a natural reaction. And if you are in that state, you are not going to be, like, working at full capacity, you know? Awareness and trauma porn can be hard to discern. Yeah, it can. My family is Ukrainian, and a mother I knew went semi-viral in the UK for her daughter's horrific death. I had talked to her daughter a few times. She didn't want to go viral at all. Yeah. See, that's the thing, is where it's like, at what point is it just voyeurism? And I think TikTok in particular is very, very, very bad about this. Because you are just scrolling through. And when you are scrolling through and you see something horrifying, when you see a mother weeping, when you see a bomb go off, you stop. Of course you do. Of course you do. Like, your brain is like, okay, danger. I see danger. And so you have to stop and look. And so that gives you no time to prepare for what you're seeing. And you are not able to help. It's like you're in a glass box and you're watching all this horrifying shit go on beyond this glass box, and you're just pounding at the glass. Because when people see horrifying shit, right, we have like brain mechanisms that kick in. We gotta fight it, right? We gotta fight the horrifying shit. We run away. We freeze up. And we help, right? We help each other. We find compassion. And so what our brain wants to do in those situations is scoop up all of the orphans and feed them bread, right? Like, that is what our minds are, like, programmed to do. Well, we can't do that. The orphans are on the other side of the world. We can't just scoop them up and feed them bread. There's nothing we can do. And I think that it leads to insanity. It leads to just absolute insanity, because we are prevented from having the normal human response by distance. I feel bad for skipping past Gaza videos, but I have my own war trauma and it's incredibly triggering for me. Yeah, and I don't fucking blame people for that, you know? There's certain shit that I can't watch for the same reasons. And I think that, TikTok in particular does not give us the time. And Twitter to an extent too, Blue Sky, anything that's like real short form like that. It does not give us the opportunity to get into the mindset we need to be to process that effectively. It sends us immediately into fight or flight. And I think even if somebody doesn't have like active war trauma, I think it sends us into fight or flight, because we're human beings, and when we see another human being suffering, we want to do something about it. And when that person is on the other side of the world, you know, there's not much we can do, especially in a situation like this where like aid trucks were not getting in. There was so much about that situation that was barricaded off due to Israel's policies around this stuff. And so it felt particularly hopeless. You know, when you see, like, for example, like, if you've ever been to a church where they showed, like, videos of, like, children in Africa, right? And here's how you can help, right? Like, those kinds of things, you know, at least you could, you know, cough up the money. You could do this, that, or the other, to help these people. Now, how much of that actually went to those people, who knows? That's a whole mess on its own, but there's not a whole lot we could do because there just wasn't anything getting in. And so that made us feel even more hopeless about the entire situation. That was the thing that got me. A video of an elderly man sobbing, crying in hunger, that all he wants is a slice of bread, and I've got a whole pan in the cupboard and no way to hand it to him. I broke. Yeah, that's the thing. Is, like, I think too, because, like, American culture, let's be honest with ourselves. We live in a culture of excess. We live in a culture of excess. And while we as individuals might be poor, and poorer than certainly, you know, the people on the top, we all realize, for the most part, we do have bread we could give to these people. We do have a roof, for the most part, a lot of us. And I think sometimes, I think there's only two real responses that you have after watching this for a certain amount of time. Number one, you break. You lose your mind. You fall into despair, right? And the other is that you get angry. And sometimes I think people get angry at the people who are suffering because they're suffering loudly. I think that people tend to have this reaction with homeless people. Like, how dare you be in my line of sight, making me feel bad for what I have? You are a reminder that I have gotten lucky. And that makes me uncomfortable. And I think that we don't want to shy away from that discomfort. So we go in the opposite direction, and we torture ourselves. And that's not great either. In yeshiva every year, giant photographs of the Holocaust in every hallway from the time you're about 6 years old. I think that gave me this nihilism I'm too tired to fight off. Yeah, I imagine so. I will say something positive. Your videos convinced me to try and help my local community, and I'm volunteering with Food Not Bombs now. Hell yeah! Hell yeah! As you should. As you should. Ooh. I had a TikTok with just over 75K where I translated Ukrainian news to English for Americans. The best thing I ever did was delete that account. My family is still there, and I just can't educate people. Yeah, I think that we're all really tired. Too. I think, too, like, a lot of the reason I think that creators fall into slop as well is because we're tired. All of us are so tired. I've talked to other creators, and creators fall into two camps, right? Exhausted and burning the fuck out and losing our minds, and grifters. And that's it, man. And it's really difficult to talk to one another about these kinds of things because it's a shady industry. I definitely have friends I've made. I definitely have people that I absolutely love that I've made friends with on TikTok. I don't talk to other creators about anything because I know that every single person in my industry is incentivized to throw my ass under the bus. And so it's really hard to discuss these things with other content creators because I do not trust these motherfuckers. And I have no reason to. And so then you kind of end up feeling really lonely too, you know? We're doing a skill trade right now where they teach me how to cook and I teach homeless people how to do basic garment repairs with the supplies they have. Hell yeah, that's great. I'm really proud of you. That's amazing. Your content is a real positive. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm healthy enough to help other people yet, but you've inspired me to actually work on my health so I can get to that point. You got me out of my bed rot. I'm really glad. Honestly, I highly recommend when it comes out on Wednesday, the Confidence series. It's really, really weird. And it's going to feel odd. Some of the things you are asked to do, because it's like a step-by-step, and some of the things you're going to be asked to do in that step-by-step are not going to make sense at the time. They're going to feel awkward. They're going to feel weird. I promise you this is a wax on, wax off situation. All right? I promise you. Everything I have put on there, it has a purpose. It has a purpose. It is setting you up to where the like actual Confidence series begins. Because the first two videos are basic training. And it's just going to be a step-by-step things to do. And then once you move on from that, you can move on to the first formal lesson. I think that one's probably going to be about exercise and nutrition, I imagine. Exercise, nutrition, something like your physical health, right? And I imagine that's probably going to be the first, like, actual video that's not basic training that I make in that series. Because before we even get into, like, the social stuff, like, I've realized how far behind a lot of people are, how far COVID, honestly, put people behind in terms of, like, self-care and physical and mental health, and spiritual health. And so hygiene is another one. How far people got put behind on those things. And so I feel like I need to cover all of that before we get into, like, the social emotional awareness stuff. But covering that will help build the confidence for the social emotional awareness stuff too, you know? I'm on the Patreon Discord, so I've seen the preview. It absolutely makes sense. Well, I've written the steps down and I'm starting it today. It was hilarious and everybody should run to watch it when it's fully out. Thank you. I appreciate it. And like I said, some things that are on there are purely just... So, what is it called? The vagus nerve? Is that it? But it helps to emotionally regulate you when you stimulate it, right? And laughter is something that stimulates it. And so some of those things on there are meant to make you feel silly for a little while. They're meant to make you laugh, to stimulate the vagus nerve, to give you hope. Because that helps with the, like, dopamine, the hope feeling. And the some of the stuff on there too is to get used to being cringe, to get used to feeling awkward, because people are weird. People are weird. Everybody's weird. Everybody's awkward. Everybody feels like they don't quite belong. You are not the only one feeling that, I promise you. And so I think that by, you know, doing things in private that feel weird, that feel cringe, then that can kind of build up the confidence to take a risk doing those things in public, you know, and not caring what people think. I've had horrible social anxiety, and your videos about talking to your neighbor, even with social issues, helped me actually talk to my neighbor. I was initially scared of her, but now she gives me catnip and cat food when I run out. Turns out my neighbor was in fact less scary than I thought. Yes, indeed. Most of the time that is the case. That's why honestly, that was like the last discourse I was involved in, was the like, I shouldn't have to talk to people in public discourse. And that one broke me. I think that that's kind of what led to like, there were many factors in me getting to the point I did with my mental health. You know, like I said, I was off my hormones. I was really, really low on my hormones. And then that discourse was part of it too. It just absolutely broke me, because I'm like, you guys do need to go talk to your neighbors. You do need to like have small talk. I have a wonderful community here. And like, not everybody in this town I'm best friends with. But you know what? I can tell you that I have a little Thursday routine, and I highly recommend doing this if you can, right? Come up with a little routine where you are going to an area of your town and or city that is walkable, all right? Go to a walkable place. Find yourself a restaurant that you like to eat at, or a coffee shop, a little grocery store that you like to go to, or a bodega, a gas station, something like that. And like maybe an art gallery, something like that, a store, a shop. And go there like 1 day a week. 1 day a week, just always like make it a regular habit, right? Even if you can only afford to buy something small, get yourself like a little biscotti or something. And just go in there and be there. A cup of coffee, a biscotti, anything you can. Go there and make it a habit where you go to these places all the time, and you will make friends with the people who work there, with the other regulars. You will start, like, people will start to see you as like a familiar face. And I've made friends with several like people in my town that way. There's a girl who works at the little grocery store. There's like a farm to table grocery store here. And we're like, we're gonna be besties. We're gonna be besties. Like, we've like added each other on Instagram and everything like that. I don't really use Instagram that much, but like, you know, now we have this like contact information with each other. The gal, I know two of the gals now, because they hired a new gal at the coffee shop I go to. And I know both of them. And they always let me put flyers up for my events in their window. There's a gay man who owns like a local art gallery in that area. I go in there, I check out his husband, because he owns the gallery. His husband is the artist. And so I go in there, I see all of his husband's new pieces. There's like a little like crystal and magic shop that I go into. And I just kind of, it's like this one little street in my town, and I go there every Thursday. And it's to the point now where like the girl who works at the little grocery store, she saw me somewhere else. I don't remember where it was. And she was like, "Didn't see you this Thursday." Like, I didn't go one Thursday, and she noticed. She's like, "You're always in here on Thursday. Always." And that feels nice. It feels nice for people to notice when you're not there. And in this kind of climate, particularly, I think it's really important that we notice when someone's missing, that there's a void there, that we have that emotional weight of what's actually going on, you know? There's one guy I'm actually very worried about. He's the guy who like owns the Euro place. And we went there the other day, and it was not open when it was supposed to be open. And he may have just been sick, or like, you know, how some of those little shops are. People close up early, stuff like that. They run out of food, they close up early, whatever. But I really need to go back and check, because it freaked me out a bit, not gonna lie. I really hope that he's okay. So maybe I'll swing by the Euro place today and get some hummus or something. See what's up with him. I somehow befriended my local gas station's night shift worker. I had major surgery last year, and she brought me all of my favorite snacks when I couldn't get out of bed. There's a lot of immigrants at my apartments, and I'm the only white immigrant, and I've tried to befriend everyone just to check on them. Yeah, I'm really glad you're doing that, because I feel like when people go missing in our community, we should feel the weight of that. And the only way to feel the weight of that, truly, is to know your neighbors. To understand what's actually going on, you know? He has not posted in like 6 days. Mustafa! Okay, yeah, we should probably go down there and check. Maybe he's just not posting because he doesn't want to bring the attention to himself or something. I don't know. But he always posts. He's always talking about like what his specials and everything are. So that worries me a lot. And he does seem like the type to be like, hey, I'm going to visit family out of town for like Memorial Day weekend or something like that. You know what I mean? But, that freaks me out. I don't like that at all. Yeah. It's crazy shit. Like, I've been saying, like, know your neighbors for so long, and I feel like everybody was just kind of like, no, I don't wanna, that's scary. And I hope that me getting on people long enough, I'm glad to see that some of you actually did it, and that you, in fact, realized that your neighbor was not as scary as you thought. Because now, not only will you notice if your neighbor goes missing, your neighbor will notice if you do too, and you will be missed. And that is while not, you know, incredibly comforting just because of the state of things, it is a comfort to know that if I don't show up to the wild ramp on Thursdays, people are going to notice. If I'm not out and about in my town, people are going to notice. And that makes me feel loved and part of my community. And I want you guys to also experience that. I don't just say this stuff for nothing or because I'm judging you or anything like that. I want you to experience the community that I experience here, because I have never had community like this before, and it is such an incredible experience. One of my neighbors is scary, but I was immediately warned about him from all the other neighbors. And TBH, he's not even a bad guy. He's just on a lot of drugs, and it's hard to talk to him. Yeah. Yeah, and you will run into that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, Of course, Dottie, you have come in, and I am about to go out. I'm about to end the stream. This was like, um, the moment where I'm like, about to end the stream. Because I have some other stuff I'd like to work on today. Yeah, we need to go talk to Ted and Steven about that mannequin at some point. And when I can do like a mannequin pickup and how. I'm glad I finally caught a stream. Been watching for a while and I appreciate you. I'm glad you did too, because this is mostly where I'm going to be from here on out. The live streams are going to be the major monetary source. By the way, I gotta do it. I gotta plug the shit. All right, that is my Cash App and Venmo. All right, I need to buy at least 4 mannequins. I'm getting a mannequin loaned, but I am gonna need at least 4 more. And so I am gonna have to spend about $200 on mannequins probably, and I also have to buy cat litter and food, and pay my bills. So if you would like to donate to my mannequin fund, that would be greatly appreciated. I've never been more tempted to support than the mention of mannequin shenanigans. When you see the first episode of Strangers, I am hoping that will get people on board. I'm really, really hoping that people will like Strangers enough that they want to see it come to fruition. I've had this story in my head for a while now that I've wanted to do. And it is a story. I know how it's going to end. It is going to be told in parts. It is an analog horror, so there is secrets, Easter eggs, things you're not going to notice on the first watch. I have a friend who found one of the Easter eggs this morning in my very first video. There's probably 3 to 5 of them in that one. Is the PayPal still cool? I dumped the other options a while ago. Yes, it is. You can also donate to PayPal. I do have a PayPal. And the link tree should be... Yes. It's in the description. So, I'll go ahead and put that in chat too. Give me a second. Because that will also, link y'all to my Patreon and stuff. So if you want to go see the mannequin shenanigans earlier, then next Wednesday, you will be able to do that. Okay. Were there any... No, there were no super chats today, were there? Okay. Alright. Cool. Alright. A special thank you to Jennifer Davidson, Margaret Capehart, Jessica Bednarek, Ariana, Emma Price, Allison Hill, Lauren O'Connor, Mao, Caitlin, Nathan, Morgan Western, Eleanor Bucksbaum, Jay Winia, Morgan May, Taylor Condra, River Johnson, Angelini Pellegrini, Faith Benamy, Kristen McSorley, Nikki Lynn Art, Jacqueline Gordon, Devin Watson, Val Smith, Post-Punk Pastor, Pauline Gibson, Lucas Kempe Cook, and John Borg. Thank you guys, seriously, so much for everything you do. I really appreciate it. And remember, drink a water, eat a food, be kind to yourself, to your neighbor, and to the earth. Thank you guys again for everything you do. I'm so glad that you guys have kept me afloat while I'm trying to change platforms. And that you watch these streams, which helps me get advertiser revenue. So I greatly appreciate that as well. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless.